Okay, that's an event we ran on Saturday. It's a reverse 5G global prayer, and we sent that worldwide. We managed to get 11,500 people reached, but that means nothing. We had about 83 responses, and that's the first of 3 that we're going to be running. Right? So next month there's going to be another one, and I did try and contact the major players around the world on the idea of doing a global prayer. One of the reasons is a global prayer was arranged for the fires just after the 1,000 homes were lost, right? And that was the 3rd and the 4th of January. The very next day, a cyclone appeared in northwest Australia, and the rains haven't stopped since. I can show you the weather chart, how it changed from drought, the worst catastrophe, high catastrophe we ever had, into something that the fires are gone. You know, it didn't take very long after that.
Cloud seeding started to work.
Wow, that's another topic. Okay. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Now, I've got a question. What do we call what looks attractive but is actually perilous?
The Trojan Horse.
Trojan Horse, yes, very good. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? And another question. What do we call an item that's expensive but useless and hard to get rid of?
Politicians.
What? Politicians. Besides that, there's a special name. Okay, no takers? White. It's a white elephant. Right, so Trojan horse and white elephant, from what we can tell, applies to 5G. It's all over the internet that 5G will not work as the way they're telling us it will work. It doesn't penetrate buildings very well. It doesn't travel very far. It doesn't get through glass very well, or even a sheet of paper. What use is it?
It gets through skin. What use is NBN?
Well, let's talk about that later. Right? And if it rains, your signal's not going to get through either. So that makes it pretty useless. And one of the solutions they came up with, we'll put transmitters inside buildings as well. Well, why are you bothering? You've got a high-speed internet connection through cable or wire or fibre. So why do you need a transmitter inside your building when you're blasting radiation to everyone in the building? You know, the trend was to go Wi-Fi over the years, but I've heard that they're now reversing that. They're going back to cable within buildings.
Yes, they are.
Right? And perhaps they're worried that insurance companies have decided not to cover this particular type of illness, the electrohypersensitivity illness. Another tech solution that they came up with is beamforming or phased arrays. And what that is a number of antennas in a line, and they're able to phase those antennas in order to direct the beam in one particular direction. Yep. But if you've got 100 users, are you going to beam in all those different directions all at once? I don't know how you can do that. I don't know, maybe there is a tech solution, but it doesn't seem to make sense to me. And you know, I do have an electronics background. I used to work in this field. It still doesn't make any sense to me. Another tech solution, that's the cells inside buildings, and that's more radiation, isn't it? Now on this journey I discovered, that's the previous slide. Could 5G have trouble penetrating buildings? If you do a search, you'll find plenty of information on this particular problem with 5G. As I was researching this, I discovered this documentation, broken promises. And what the broken promise is, we were promised fibre to the premises 20 years ago, right? And we didn't get it. We ended up with getting DSL over copper, and we also got, in the country areas, fixed wireless. And both of those are terribly inferior to having fibre into the premises. Right? So we actually paid for it as well, according to this report. You can download this report. Right? $400 billion broadband scandal. Promised is your dream car, and you got a broken skateboard instead, which is interesting.
So it's a broken contract, we can sue them.
It's a big issue. This is a US report, and they are very serious about that figure, $400 billion rip-off of the public. Right. Another report, which I discovered only a few days ago, Reinventing Wires, the future of landlines and networks. And both these reports outline the solution. It says when it comes to delivering the bits, copper wire and fibre are superior to wireless in cost and performance. Fibre offers the most stable and future-proof long-term solution. So why the push for 5G? There's got to be a reason behind it. And one of the reasons could be is that if we get used to the idea of using internet on 5G or even 6G or 7G, whatever that's going to be, you could say it's a revenue trick, because when you use the airwaves, when you use the sky to bring internet to a lot of users, it's a shared resource. It's going to clog up very quickly. Right? Does that make sense? Whereas if every premises has got a fibre connection, every premise can have a gigabit solution. Right? If you have 1,000 users, for example, the capacity you've got is 1,000 gigabits per second. Right? But one 5G channel, which has to be shared, is limited to about 10 or 20 gigabytes per second, gigabits per second. Right? So it'll run out of capacity very, very quickly. It doesn't make sense to use it. You know, there might be a need for or a use for wireless communications, but it's almost pointless using 5G because it doesn't penetrate very far. It does seem to cause biological problems, whereas the 4G, 3G frequencies can penetrate through almost anything, and they go for kilometres and kilometres. So you can see the difference? Yeah?
It's a business paradigm to have everything go redundant within a certain number of years, so you have to spend another gazillion dollars to replace it all.
Well, that's happening with smart meters as well. Yeah. But there is probably a far more sinister reason for this, right, for 5G. Can we leave questions till later? We'll go to the next slide. This one here was a news item in the Herald Sun only just last week. The Biosecurity Act goes live. Powers forcing sick people to be vaccinated, taking medication and remain in their homes have been enacted under extreme biosecurity measures triggered by the coronavirus. Right? And our Prime Minister has announced this, right, just the other day. Okay, the Biosecurity Act of 2015 is now in force. Right? So that's a bit of a synchronicity, perhaps. And on Friday, whoops, can't read that very well. This was the Age headline: Australia braces for the coronavirus pandemic. It seems to be coming in all at once, doesn't it? Right. So I think the timing is I think it's been planned for a very long time. It's interesting that the first 5G city was Wuhan, and that's where the so-called virus, that they're saying it has exploded. But I've also seen other information saying that pneumonia is it's so much more widespread than this coronavirus, but you don't hear any hysteria about that.
They don't want it to spread. It's possibly been done deliberately to fuck up China's economy, because there's been a bit of an economic war between America. And
Could
they
be
play
that
these
too,
dirty
yeah.
tricks, and they've probably got a vaccine waiting. So they do these sorts of things, but you know,
Yeah, well, there's
by the time
a...
it gets to America, they'll pull out the vaccine maybe or something like that.
yeah,
Thomas, I would suggest that it's being done to crash the world's economy and to throw us into a massive depression worldwide.
well, they've already locked down some of the Chinese cities.
Certainly
and
giving China
when they turn 5G on, I'll show you a little bit later that the 5G symptoms are similar in some ways to a coronavirus symptoms. You know, they're obviously not exactly the same, but there is a little bit of overlap, and it'll be quite easy for someone who's not aware to say, maybe I've got the coronavirus, when it's actually the 5G being turned on that causes the problem. All right? Yeah, you can find quite a few articles online. This particular one, How to Stage a Fake Epidemic and Brainwash Billions of People. Here's the symptoms. Coronavirus, fever, cough, shortness and breath, electromagnetic radiation sickness. There's a whole bunch of things, but the last one says general unwell being. So I'd call that an overlap with those ones. And a lot of people might be fooled into that.
I'll give you one fact. China loses 330,000 people to pneumonia every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
So what?
Pneumonia. And the key...
Yeah, so it's a lot higher, isn't
Yeah,
it?
the key thing they're using, you get a heat gun and say, oh, he's a bit hot. And
Yeah,
he's got a bit of
Them off
a
the
fever.
street and they never see them again.
They don't have the people to do the assays, if you want to call it that, to find out whether they have that actual virus. It's very difficult to prove which virus they actually have.
Yeah.
So all of this is leading into what you're saying is it's a friggin' scam.
Well, I'll try and get to the end of what I'm trying to show here. Where am I? I've got some solutions which I only saw the other day, and I think this is relevant. The question is this the plan to cull the population? And maybe it's been in the planning for a very long time, because coronavirus is not a new name, is it? It goes back decades.
Been on dead old bottles for years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That might be a British fella. He wants the return of the deadly virus, doesn't he?
Okay. So I think it's a worldwide plan to lock down all the cities of the world, right? And who knows where that's going to go. And forced vaccinations due to a pandemic blamed on the virus. So I'd like to offer some solutions, right? Because if we only focus on the problem, then that's what we're manifesting, right? The purpose of the prayer that we did the other day was to focus on a solution. And the two reports that I showed you before have the solution, right? And what I'm also saying is, if enough of us focus on the solution, it will happen. And I'll try and back that up in a moment. I might go straight to that, actually. I come from a physics background as well as electronics engineering, and I've collected a number of sayings on physics, and one of them is physicists are being forced to admit that the universe is actually a mental construction, right? It's not a material construction. Another one is get over it. The universe is immaterial, mental and spiritual. That comes from a physics professor, physics and astronomy. And Nikola Tesla said a long time ago Want to know the secrets of the universe? Think in terms of energy, frequency and vibration, right? And thoughts are also a vibration. If we can learn to focus thoughts, then we can shut down the worst fire catastrophe that Australia has seen, and we've got evidence for that. Right? I'm not offering proof, I'm offering evidence. If you want proof, you've got to go looking for it yourself. All right, so that's just some information to try and back that up. And the solution is actually the name of this session tonight, and that's acting in honour. Is that the right title for it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's acting in honour. And from this particular video, if you can get a chance to look at it, it says mutations, referring to the virus, do not hold power over organic structures that harmonise with source frequency. Right? So you might be wondering what that means. What's the source frequency? Well, here's the explanation. The antidote to this mutation is a lifestyle that is pragmatic, objective, alert, aware, open, accepting, logical, intuitive, and non-judgmental. Guess what? It's as simple as that. If you have a lifestyle of integrity, you're going to be protected. Your immune system will kick in. Right? It's very, very simple. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm saying, the most powerful tool that we can have for all these issues is to know that what's going on is actually an illusion, right? The illusion, let's say, of the courts. It's supposed to be about justice, but we know it's not. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bit of agreement there. It's not about justice, and there is no silver bullet. If you're trying to find a legal solution to the court system, you probably won't find it, because it's old energy, and it will fight to tooth and nail to hold on to its power. And I'm actually asking for some magic here. You know, collective thought, prayer if you want to call it, meditation, might actually have an effect. You've got nothing to lose by trying it. You don't even have to believe it. You can just give it a try and see what happens. Now, we're posting the 5G global prayer on YouTube pretty soon, and we're planning another one in a month's time. Hopefully we'll get more worldwide support on it. So that's my input on that. No, it's an illusion. It's not real. This is about magic. We are all magicians. Our life is a magic trick, and we are all magicians. And my introduction of Darren is he's a magician. We should pay attention to what he's got to say. Woo! So that's it.
Good evening. How is everybody?